Detachment is not about cutting people off. It's about attachment doesn't hurt you. But this is what exactly life looks like without. Detachment is so important because it gives you the power to your life isn't really miserable in reality. But the real meaning of detachment is not to remove things, people, situation from your life. That's not detachment. The truth is, a transformational shift happens when you move from detachment does not mean giving up on your goals. It just means this is important. Let me repeat. You don't have to remove things, situation, people from here and here. What if all the things that you have thought and believed about detachment till now is all wrong? Let me prove it to you today. Detachment is not about cutting people off. It's about cutting the invisible chains that control your peace of mind. And that's where most people get it wrong. Attachment doesn't hurt you, but your addiction to control does. First, let's simply understand what exactly is detachment and why is it so important. Imagine you have a TV at home. You must be having. Now, instead of keeping the remote control with you, you give it to every guest who walks in. One person comes and presses the angry button and you get angry. Another person comes and presses the sad button and you suddenly start feeling low. Someone else comes and presses the insecure button and you suddenly start feeling not good enough. By the end of the day, you have lived everyone else's choices, not yours. This is what exactly life looks like without detachment. You hand over the remote of your life to situations, people, and outcomes. So, detachment simply means taking your remote back. So, you decide what channel you live on. Is it going to be peace, joy, strength? Is it going to be sadness, depression, loneliness, not good enough, not valuable, and so much more? Detachment is so important because it gives you the power to experience everything, to enjoy everything without being controlled by anything or anyone. When you detach, life stops pulling your strings and you finally start living free. But without detachment, you become a puppet, and all your choices are controlled by people, things, circumstances, outcomes, and whatnot. It's exactly like handing the remote of your life to the world and then wondering why you never feel free. So let me make you meet Meera. Meera was one of my clients. Meera must be around 38. She lives in Pune. She runs her own boutique, is doing decently well. She has a husband who mostly minds his own business, a daughter in the 8th grade, and a beautiful house that smells like an agarbatti and lavender hand wash. But if you sit with her even for 5 minutes, you will feel like her life is falling apart. Her maid takes too many leaves. Her daughter doesn't eat enough greens. Her husband forgets the anniversaries. And she thinks he doesn't love her the way he used to. Her staff can't follow simple instructions. Her friends don't reply on time. And apparently the whole world is selfish except her. And most importantly, her every conversation begins with this. See, I don't usually get affected, but this time, spoiler, she always gets affected. So a week ago, Meera broke down over a client who returned a blouse after 2 days, claiming it didn't look premium enough. And then she ranted about it for nearly about 3 hours. Not because she lost the money, but because how can people be so disrespectful despite the fact that she gave them the best? So she called her friend, her sister, her cousin in Canada, repeated every word the client said. She wanted everyone to validate she's right and that the client was wrong. I'm just sensitive, I care too much. She says that a lot. But the truth is this. Meera isn't just sensitive. She's attached to how things should be, how people should treat her, how life should unfold. Basically, in short, she wants to control everything. Outcomes, opinions, reactions, emotions, and not just hers, but of everybody else around her too. So basically, she holds on tightly to her version of justice, to small fights, to imagined rejections. And in that tight grip, she doesn't realize that her life isn't actually falling apart. Her boutique is doing fine. Her daughter is healthy. Her marriage is stable. She has help, privilege, and time. But in Meera's world, peace is always one correction away. Once I fix this staff issue, I'll feel better. Once my husband understands how to talk to me properly, I'll be okay. Once people stop taking me for granted, this, that, there is always a next thing, a next fire, a next person to fix. And the irony, from the outside, she says, I look too detached. But that is not true. Meera doesn't see that her life is not that miserable. Only her mind is, because it's stuck in constant conflict with the reality. Basically, she's not tired from life. She's tired of fighting with it. So, my dearest Meera, or Meera's brother, your life isn't really miserable in reality, but your mind might be making it. The real meaning of detachment is not to remove things, people, situations from your life. That's not detachment. The truth is, you cannot even remove them practically, but removing them from your mind is detachment. So you don't have to remove them from here and here. You have to remove them from here. This is important. Let me repeat. You don't have to remove things, situation, people from here and here. You have to remove them from here. Mind, mind, mind. That's the detachment people are talking about. Not physically detaching, not pushing them away, not going to some other la la land. Staying in here and here. Detaching from here. Avoiding them is not detachment. Talking to them and not getting affected is detachment. Going far away from them is not detachment. Staying near them and still not hurting is detachment. Detachment doesn't happen by being okay with someone's absence. Detachment happens by being okay with someone's presence too. Now, how do you know if someone or you are truly detached? What are the signs? What are the symptoms? The first is inner mastery. That is the ability to observe without being emotionally controlled by the people, circumstances, or outcomes. And it doesn't mean not caring. It means not clinging. The second is freedom from ego-based identity. Basically, attachment comes from where? It's just coming from your ego. That's it. And third, very important, living in alignment with purpose over performance. Now let's talk about some action, since LifeWeda is all about wisdom in action. Now, how do you practically become detached? Where does detachment comes from? First is obviously self-awareness. It is the gateway to everything, especially freedom. Understanding that you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you are not even your results. Just this awareness creates a space or a distance between the stimulus and the response. And that's where the detachment is born. Basically, trigger and whatever you respond. And that is where the detachment is actually born. Second, very important, healing your nervous system. Superbly important. Nobody talks about this. Allegedly, nobody talks about this. I don't know why. Your trauma, your conditioning, your past experiences create loops, attachment loops. Attachment to people, to outcomes, validation. Now, somatic work, this in itself is a big term to understand. Basically, you just understand somatic. Somatic means body, basically. All the emotions that we have somewhere get stored in our body. So we got to work on that as well. So somatic work, breathing and meditation helps calm the nervous system and creates safety within the body so that detachment becomes possible. Now third, spiritual grounding. Again, very important. Everything that has been given to us as human has a higher purpose to it. If attachment has been put into this system, this human system, it has a certain purpose. Love has a certain higher purpose. But what we end up doing is we end up using it for smaller things and do not use it for its highest purpose. That's where we end up misusing it, rather using it for the highest benefit. So basically, attachment has been given to humans so that we attach ourselves to something permanent. But we end up attaching ourselves to everything temporary. Temporary people, circumstances, situations, but not to something permanent who's going to remain with you in this lifetime and many other lifetimes. So detachment comes from trusting in something bigger than you, greater than you. It could be your higher self, God, universe. It's about letting go of the control and leaning into creative surrender. Now fourth, very important, identity shift or identity evolution. This is one of the most important things for so many things. A transformational shift happens when you move from I need this to happen to feel worthy to I am worthy and I create from abundance, not from lack. This is basically detachment from identity driven by starving, that you do not need to prove yourself anymore to the world. Detachment does not mean giving up on your goals. It just means releasing your addiction to the outcome. So your power is no longer held hostage to what happens outside of you. When you're detached, you are dangerous. Not because you don't care, but because you're finally free to act from the truth and not from fear. In short, detachment is a product of deep self-awareness, nervous system regulation, spiritual trust and identity evolution. It is the inner work of moving from gripping control to empowered surrender. And that's your different perspective for today. See you in the next video.